Love mapping. Y'all have asked for it, and here it is. Just to give you an idea about what's going on right now, I've got my newest son here, Tommy, in a harness here, so you might hear him doing his little whimpers. He's a great sleeper, so he'll most likely last the entire duration of this. What I'm going to be doing is following a bit of a script that I've created, and I'll also be ad-libbing, so I'll be jumping around, sharing windows, doing all that delicious stuff to make sure that you walk away from this with a deeper understanding about what love mapping actually is and how to potentially use it in your own life. And like I've mentioned before with multiples of other people, you don't have to either work with me, you don't have to do this particular type of work. But what I'll be showing you is other ways that you could go about it yourself. So if you are already a healer, whatever that means to you, you can use some of these technologies in your work and your relationships to get a deeper understanding of yourself, a deeper knowing of yourself, and to stop self-abandoning. Like there might be a part of you that is still self-abandoning, and love mapping will help you sort all of that out. All right, here we go. Now, a bit of a background of where this love mapping all came from, right? Just going to turn my camera off here. So what you'll see is you might recognize some of these faces and you might not. You've got Wilhelm Reich or Reich, depending on what vernacular you want to choose. You've got John Parakos. You've got Barbara Brennan. You've got Alexander Lowen, Stephen Kessler, and my mentor and me. And where my lineage and where this lineage of love mapping has come from, it wasn't called love mapping, I've given it that name, is Reich discovered that in his clinical practice that there were people that were showing up at his doorstep in his office with particular posture, breathing patterns, and exhibiting the same type of neuroses, the same type of relationship issues. And he thought, oh, there's something that's in this, right? And Alexander Lowen started seeing the same. So those two blokes joined teams and created bioenergetics, right? And then Wilhelm Reich moved off to more energetic stuff like the orgone. You might be familiar with orgone technology or cloudbuster technology. That's Reich's invention. And then Alexander Lowen and John Parakos, they teamed up and they created core energetics. And then Alexander Lowen left, and it was just John. But John saw that there was something else that needed to be added into all of this work, and it was the spirit, right? And then Barbara Brennan is also in the mix as well, and she has got a book that I'll recommend later, so stick around so you hear what that is, and also go through some of the chapters, and I'll show you where in the book the chapters are that would be most interesting to you. And then my mentor studied under John Parakos and worked with Barbara Brennan. And then there's Stephen Kessler, who wrote the two books that I recommend to a lot of people, The 5 Personality Patterns and Having Better Relationships Using the 5 Personality Patterns. And then there's me. So I've been exposed to a delicious and wisdom-filled lineage of information, including stuff that you won't find in books, and there's still plenty of wisdom in the books. So what I've been trying to do before doing love mapping was selling what I do in all kinds of other ways, all right, like with men's groups. I actually did a lot of men's work before I do what I did now. I tried to sell to spiritual people about the chakras and how to align your systems, and did a whole bunch of courses and collaborations with people about aligning your energy and getting your chakras sorted. And then I really struggled to make the money with this. And I was like, well, what's going on here? Like, why aren't people interested in doing this deep level of work? And then I realized from what my mentor really struggled with was it just really pulling people over the line to have a look at the deep identity work that was making all of their relationships not work, right? All this self-abandonment, because once you start having a look at where your self-abandonment comes from, you need to create a self. And in that self, it can be quite disorientating because you might need to close off some relationships. I need to start some new ones. But what I discovered was that relationships were really the key in all of this. And my business mentor recommended, John, like, what do you want to do? Like, I love working with relationships. Let's do that. So I did do that and came up with aligned attraction, true love, just in a brainstorming session with him. So aligned attraction, let's do that, right? And in that, it was, well, what do I actually give people? And so a love map, I show people how to find love, and I'll go deeper in how we get to that. So the old way of doing relationships was like attachment theory. This is what I went through. Okay, attachment theory. Are you anxious? Are you avoidant? Are you dismissive avoidant? Are you disorganized? Going through plant medicines, synthetic medicines, getting told to do EMDR and CBT and nonviolent communication and internal family systems and hypnosis, then getting sucked into masculine and feminine polarity stuff, then soulmates and twin flames and family constellations, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. And what I found with these things were and synastries through astrology and human design and gene keys, all that stuff was really helpful at some deep level, and they all have their blind spots. And what I found in those blind spots, it was the body. Like, family constellations comes close, but you get swamped by just the history of your family and trying to piece it all together. It takes a very long time to get clarity on your relationships and what's going on there. So just basically make it make sense, right? Make it make sense. There's just so much information out there. Make it make sense. So what I used off the back of what I knew from Wilhelm Reich, Alexander Lowen, and John Parakos was starting to use the 5 personality patterns. And there weren't all these names. So these names, the new way that I've called is the new way, these 5 names, leaving, merging, enduring, aggressive, and rigid, they weren't all called that, okay? There were actually, some of them were. Merging was known as oral, enduring is known as masochist, leaving can be the intuitive or the schizoid. The aggressive was also known as the psychopath. The rigid is the rigid. That one remains unchanged. But in all of these, their names come from, and if you've read the book and you understand it, I might be going over something that you already know, is that if you don't understand this, and if you're a bit of a muggle in this world, then you can get stuck in these ways. You can get stuck in these patterns. And I'll also speak to what the difference is between pattern and what comes on the other side of it. But what's really important here is you are not your pattern. Okay, this is behavior that you've learnt to survive. I'm going to say that again. You are not your pattern. This is learned behavior to survive. And I'm jumping around a bit here. Forgive me. We have all 5. We have all 5 of these. There's leaving, merging, enduring, aggressive. And why these are different is because there's a one-to-one relationship with the body. One-to-one, right? They're not like the other modalities, right, where there can be this gap. It's like, no, this is a one-to-one relationship. Your behavior is predictable based on these patterns of how your body shape has been created. Or evolved, I should say. Now, because we have all 5, we start with all 5 from a very early age. And as we age, 2 emerges the most useful. And then we call that our personality. Reich called it character, right? It's something that overlays. It's basically who we pretended to be accepted in our family of origin or friends of origin. Now something happens as we go through love mapping. Your way of communicating becomes clearer, confidence is built in, and self-expression is flowing. Like, you laugh more, you have more fun, you're not so attached to how you need to be to show up, because before that point, before love mapping, you're self-abandoning and you don't know how you're self-abandoning. It's just part of how you've survived. And in the laughter, it's a genuine belly laugh. Like, you have more fun. Life lights up in a way where your whole body is attuned and aligned with who you are. And in that alignment, your expression is fully aligned, from your sexual expression to your laughter to your anger. It's immovable, and they don't need to be emotionally regulated away because it's you, okay? Right? Emotional regulation has become a band-aid solution for people getting stuck for people just getting stuck in the past. Right. So what we have here, the main goal is to take you from pattern, which is when you get triggered or overwhelmed or you're not present. And what love mapping does through the 5 personality patterns is that it takes whatever you've done to survive. For example, what's a good example here? You might be with an angry partner, okay? And when your partner gets angry, you shut down or leave because you don't know how to be in that anger, you know how to be in that confrontation. Another example can be you can feel someone wanting to connect with you and then you want to run away because it starts bringing up all the sensations of being abandoned, being left behind, not being loved for who you are. So what happens is there's a sensation that appears in your body when you're about to connect to someone, which pulls you out of presence. You might be having a great time with someone, you've gone out for coffee, or you meet them at the markets or at the gym or just anywhere on the street, having a great conversation, that superficial, bump the microphone, sorry, that superficial conversation. All of a sudden, something a little bit deeper connects, and it's like, wait a minute, there's a opportunity to pull this person deeper into my life. Like, do I do that? And in that moment, you can either go into pattern or presence. So the end goal here is just to be present for the majority of the time. And when you're present for the majority of the time, your decisions are unique to you. You no longer need to feel the need to defend yourself because you are just you. So I'm me. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to pretend anymore that I'm trying to be something that I'm not. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be me. Hopefully this is being useful to you. If it is, throw it in the comments or wherever you're watching this. Hey, John, this is really useful to me. Great, fantastic. All right. So what we do in love mapping is we plot your 2 most common trends in a relationship. All right. So of that list of the 5, there's 2 that'll really stand out. Okay, and I help you identify those through workbooking and various other techniques. And then we focus on stopping them being your habitual patterned response. And there are specific somatic exercises to transform this pattern into presence. And I know that these are strategies that work because I'm an example of that, and many of my clients are examples of that. So when you are not in present, like I said, you are in survival. Presence is actually our default state, and then through childbirth and being conditioned by parents, we lose that presence. We need to become something else to survive, to be loved, to be taken care of. And this will also show up not just in your relationships, but other areas of life too. For example, like your career and your business. Maybe you're in pattern when you're selecting clients to work with. Maybe you're in pattern when you're dealing with government organizations. You start to panic. I don't know what to do. Oh, it's the government's coming to get me. Maybe not. But in that's what'll show up for you. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is give you an example of one of the patterns. Okay. So leaving pattern. And what I've done here is the leaving pattern, because the theme is around mapping, okay, so I wanted to make it cute, a bit pizzazzy, give it a bit of a John edge. So I've called it mapping and giving the 5 personality patterns place points, like waypoints, points of interest as you would see them on a map. So the leaving, I've assigned the Isle of Red Flags. Because a leaving patterned person can intellectually know all the things that they do and don't want in a relationship, but then they still walk straight in there and ignore all of those. Right? So they're the Isle of Red Flags. When they're in pattern, it's the Isle of Red Flags. And then when I help them transmute that, transform that, bring their leaving pattern home, bring them into their body, they can acknowledge their red flags and know that there's real connection there, and there's no obligation. They don't get swept up in the moment, right? So in that, what I'm going to do just quickly is share. I actually didn't get it ready. My bad. Share my document. Share the workbook. I'm going to show you the workbook. A bit impromptu workbook. Just getting my software ready. Like I said, this is how I do things sometimes. So this is the old workbook. Okay. Oops, where did it go? It's at the bottom of the list. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Where are you? Disappeared. Let's get it back. All right. Expand it out. So what we've got here, this is the old workbook. Okay, so this is the old love map. And what I do is I take you through your old love map, and there's a bunch of questions in here. Oopsie daisy, bunch of questions in here that you use. Let me scroll through here. Zoom in a bit more. There we go. Sexy. All right, so Isle of Red Flags. All right, so straight away, like in love, you want connection but disappear or find a way out when things get real. So you stay half in, half out. And if you stay half in, half out, you're going to attract half in, half out people, right? And who you tend to attract? People who need a lot of attention and energy. They can be very chaotic or emotionally immature. Long distance can be a common preference, right? Because long distance gives you that distance that you secretly crave and you've survived through. The love map effect is you're present, but not really here. It's hard to land intimacy when one person keeps floating away, right? So I help you diagnose which are the two most important ones. There's a whole bunch of other ones in here. Swamp of self-abandonment's the merging pattern. The giant wall of emotional repression's really known as the enduring pattern. The watchtower of betrayal's the aggressive pattern or the psychopath. And then the maze of performative perfection is the rigid, okay? And then I've got a whole bunch of questions in there that I help you to remap and map your old love map. Because it's really important that you know where your old map has come from. And then from there, you can build your new one, right? But you need to know where you've come from in order to create your new one. So I'm going to show you the new one. So the new love map, a little bit different and similar. More questions. And again, what we do is I'll let you go through this. There's some techniques in here that are more generic. In our one-on-one work, I take you through specifically the ones that are unique to you and what you need to do. And what's really important here in the distinction between my work and other people's work is that these efforts aren't effort-based. Okay, it doesn't mean that you do more and you naturally become the other thing. Because what can show up in personal development is that if you just pretend to be this other thing for long enough, like fake it till you make it, you'll eventually get there. No. That's not how my work works. You need to become embodied in yourself, and then the love that you want naturally comes to you. Love is the force of attraction. Love, it will vibrate in the person when you stop self-abandoning and actually love yourself deeply. So these efforts, they naturally arise from the new inner posture. So your old love map and your old posture is based on your survival, and the new posture that I help you create through love mapping, it organically does the transformation for you, right? And this is what Wilhelm Reich discovered, Alexander Lowen, Barbara Brennan, all these amazing people that on the shoulders that I stand on, and then Stephen Kessler, who simplified it all. He's a genius at simplifying it all. Makes it really easy to understand. So this keeps the love map alive, not as a performance, but as a living ecosystem, right? So that's what I see in some of the other work as attachment theory is this. It's all quite rigid, right? NLP is very rigid as well, right? So what this work does is it naturally brings you home into yourself through decades of brilliant work by the people that I mentioned previously. All right, cool. There's a bunch of stuff in the new love map which is unique to you. I'd take you through this, but basically, not basically, what you've got is the old way of who you were and the new options that are available to you. And these options are they're unique to you, and because they'll have your own flavor, and they're one-to-one. So a leaving pattern person, once they integrate these traits within them, all the leaving pattern people have this trait within them, right? Where they can just feel welcomed here on earth, right? All right. Close that workbook. Great. Okay. Next, take a deep breath, John. Let's go. Now, what love mapping does, it shows you who you keep attracting, okay, and why. For example, a leaving pattern person can keep attracting other leaving pattern people, and they can also attract aggressive people because they're the ones that give them, aggressive patterned people can give the leaving pattern person an excuse to escape because they scare them, right? Their aggression scares them. Oopsie daisy. Their aggression scares them, right? So then there's no need for them to be present in their body because they're looking for an excuse to get away, right? What love mapping also does is it can help you understand who your caregivers were. And so you can work out, well, my mum was actually more merging based on what the book is telling me, or compensated merging, which is also in the book. Bit too complicated to go into here, but it's in the book, right? And then you can work out, well, if she was merging, if she was a compensated merging or merging, that's why she always listened to Dad and just did everything that Dad said. She didn't actually have an opinion of her own. She was too afraid to. She was self-abandoning, right? But when you go through love mapping, you learn to have a built-in compassion and presence for everyone else in your life. You can listen deeper to people. You can actually hear when there's non-truth being spoken. You can stand in your own presence and power without needing to defend yourself because your entire body's shifted. So the mechanism for change, or the mechanism for attraction of me bringing you into this work is sorting out your love life. But the deeper roots of all of this work is learning how to love yourself. Stop self-abandoning. Even your family of origin will shift to being more accepting, loving, and curious. You'll start attracting completely different caliber of person. Because when you can recognize when you go into pattern, into survival, then you know when to, I'm in that. You actually have compassion for yourself around it. It doesn't become this thing that you're always trying to fix yourself with emotional regulation. Now, further reading and other options here, it's like if you're already in a relationship, this is a pro tip. If you're already in a relationship, the longer you are in a relationship, you both emotionally charge each other. What does this mean? It means that your beliefs about each other reinforce that behavior. For example, I'm always the one that cleans the dishes. I'm always the one. I'm always the one. I'm always the one. I actually did a hexagram on this yesterday. Or they're never going to do this. They'll never do the work. I'm the one that always has to do the work. So those belief systems that built in keep reinforcing the dynamic in the relationship. So there can be a temptation for one person to want the other person to come work with me, so they change. John, I want my partner to be more like you, or have more presence, or more awareness, or be more intimate, when they're physical. Well, side note, the 5 personality patterns also map towards erotic blueprints. I spoke about this in a recent podcast. They track really. I'll got so much to share with you in this. If you can stick around, keep on sticking around because I have more for you. All right. But these are some of the books that you can check out, right? Books by Alexander Lowen, Fear of Life, Betrayal in the Body, Wilhelm Reich, Character Analysis, Wilhelm Reich, The Function of the Orgasm, really important book. Depression and the Body, Alexander Lowen, Core Energetics by John Parakos, The Pathwork Foundation with John Parakos and his wife Eva, Hands of Light by Barbara Brenner. I'm going to share some Hands of Light right now. Let me just get my window ready. But in Hands of Light, there's a really... let's move that out of the way, the 5 personality patterns. Let's move my head out of the way. They're all the books, right? Put myself down here. Now, I'm just going to get... Hands of Light up, okay? Where did it go? There, great. Okay, fantastic. So hands of light. Let me close that, clean up that PDF window. Put me over there. Great. So in Hands of Light, I think it's chapter 13. I'm just going to scroll through here from memory. But when I was doing my mentorship, this showed up a lot. And Hands of Light, if you're into this kind of stuff, you might lose interest at this point. But Hands of Light talks about the energetic boundaries in the body. Okay, it's a really fascinating book. A lot of energy healers, this becomes one of their main books about talking about energy. Okay, and how to use crystals, etc., etc. But what Barbara goes into specifically, and this is it here. Okay, no, it's more. It's actually more in here. And all of these portals into the body relate to the 5 personality patterns. And this is the stuff that Stephen Kessler wouldn't have talked about or avoided talking about it because it's just too woo-woo. All right? So here's an exercise from bioenergetics. If you're going to do it, I take no responsibility because you're not being monitored by someone who's experienced bioenergetics. But this is about being able to release energy in the body. I've got a roller that I use. I don't use a stool. But these are all the blockages in the body and energy leaks in the body. And this is a really important diagram as well. Just my son's stirring here. He might want some milk soon. But I know it's on the sideways. Can I turn it sideways? Let's see here. Edit. Can I turn it sideways? Organize pages. Oh, bummer. All right. So basically, it's sideways. Okay. But the merging pattern and the enduring pattern or the masochistic pattern, the psychopathic pattern or the aggressive pattern all show up here. Then the ideal goal here is this one, the boundary containment. All right. Boundary containment, which is the aggressive pattern, where you know how to contain yourself. You're not feeding off somebody else. Okay? You're not explosively trying to push somebody away. The porcupine is quite leaving pattern, right? Where they kind of want to be close, but they don't really want to be here. All right. The same thing with the withdrawal. So these are energy patterns that I can see in somebody when they're working with me. You just feel, you don't want me to get too close to you, do you? Right? You're a bit prickly. That's a leaving pattern person is prickly. All right. Or that leaving defense that shows up, because what can show up is because we have all 5 and we've learnt to use all 5 as children, when we start to feel threatened, we'll just deploy one. It's like, especially if you want some distance, like your partner's annoying you, right? So straight away you can do the porcupine energetically. It's just built in. It's like, hey, I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to be touched. Get away from me, right? So all of this stuff is built in. It's really fascinating, okay? All right, next page. Yeah, I might need to give my son over to my wife to get some milk. He's been a while without milk. So in here, the names of them are different. Okay, so the schizoid is leaving. It's got a great little chart here, which explains the types. There's a negative intent, but basically this book is a great. If you want to go a bit deeper, if you're somebody who likes going real deep. Check these out, the character structures. Again, this is more practitioner level, but it can still really help you. It can help you in your energy work or your relationships. Again, something that's really important, which is not, I don't really speak about it very often because it's too woo-woo, it's too deep. Like, people don't want to know about this stuff, right? They just want a quick and easy fix. Let me just do a plant medicine journey, one session of EMDR, I'm done, I'm sorted. One mushroom session, I'm done, I'm sorted. No, this work took me years to get it done, and I found a very efficient way of being able to organize your relationships using it. Okay. All right. Is there anything else I want to touch on here? I may or may not here. Turn my workbook off. Check my notes. Tommy's hitting that tipping point. So look, if this has been useful to you, then let me know. If I've actually answered your questions about love mapping, then I'm really happy that I've done that. What might also show up in this work just going to pull him out. So bear with me. This is the realities of where I'm at right now. Come here, Tommy. Come here, boys. Up you come. It's also really hard for him to go to the toilet in this thing. There you are. So if this was really useful to you, then let me know, okay? If I helped you understand love mapping, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll need to go deeper because this is something that I'm learning how to explain to people. Yeah. And I'd really love to get the feedback on, was this actually useful to you? Was this helpful? Was I able to articulate what I needed to do in order to get you the information that was required? Otherwise, thank you so much for listening and being present with me and being patient with me. And hopefully this was really beneficial to you. And like and share it. And I'm also going to include this in a deeper post in my Substack, going into a bit more detail, with handwritten detail. And this video is a backup and a complementary to this as well. All right. Mad love. Bye.